Good morning, Brenton Begley with McIntyre Elder Law. You know, I was asked by some of our team members to sit down and explain to them so they can better understand and better explain to our clients how some deeds work. So, thought we'd jump on a video and also break this down for our clients. So, today, all right, we're going to talk about the difference between some of the deeds that we do here. So, specifically a Ladybird deed, a life estate deed, and deeds with a percentage interest, okay? And I'll throw out their fancy names in a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna start with the life estate deed, okay? Lay some foundation. All right, so a life estate deed, y'all, okay? These people, imagine them as owners of the property, all right? And this is the property we're talking about, all right? We're gonna call it Acre. All right, so this is Owen, this is Anna. All right, Owen owns this home. He's owned it for a long time, all right? He likes it, and he wants to live there for the rest of his life. But Anna, he wants her to get it when he dies, but not until then, because he wants to live there for the rest of his life. Anna, she's in an apartment somewhere, North Carolina, working, but eventually she's gonna move back to Shelby, live in the home. Okay, but he doesn't want to live with Anna. He wants her to get it when he dies. Maybe Anna is Owen's child, all right? So he wants to live here for the rest of his life. So he's going to put a life estate deed on the property, okay? He comes to me and says, Mr. Begley, I want a life estate deed on my property because when I die, I want my property to go to Anna and I want it to go without having to go through probate, okay? So the minute my head hits the dirt, it goes right to my daughter Anna. All right, so I say, all right, well, what we're gonna do is you retain a life estate in the property. And what you're gonna give to Anna is something called a remainder interest, okay? And that's just a fancy way of saying you get it whenever I pass away, all right? But there's something that happened here, and this is incredibly important. A property interest was given, okay? The moment he signed that deed, he gave something away, all right? And why is this a big deal? Why is giving something away a big deal? Well, a lot of our clients watching this video might be yelling at the screen, he triggered a look-back period for Medicaid, right? 3 years for assisted living, 5 years in nursing home care, and that's a big deal, right? If you need Medicaid within 3 to 5 years, oops, you're disqualified, okay? So this right here is considered a gift, all right? That may or may not be a bad thing. Let's dive a little bit deeper into what that means though, okay? So this gift of this interest, okay, this is a property interest right here, all right? So that means she has some rights to that property right now, okay? So, if Owen wants to sell this home, he needs her signature, okay?
So I don't own my own home any longer?
You don't own your own home any longer, okay? You get to live in it the rest of your life, but you don't have the total ownership interest that you used to have. What if Owen wants to get an equity line of credit? What if Owen wants to get another mortgage on the property?
Anna has to sign off.
Anna has to sign off. That's right. That's right. She has to essentially give her permission. Okay? So that could be a dangerous situation. Maybe it's not a bad situation at all. Maybe Anna is on board with anything that Owen wants to do. Or maybe Anna is like, Owen, you know, getting up there in age, I don't know, he might be making irrational decisions. I want a property that's not encumbered by an equity line of credit. Okay? And I want to make sure that, you know, I protect this for myself, all right? And so I'm not going to let him do it. And then Owen is stuck, okay? That could be a bad situation, especially if this is his primary residence. Okay, so that being said, a life estate deed can be a good thing to avoid probate, but you gotta think to yourself, okay, do I want to give somebody else the ability to control what happens to this property, okay? And do I want to trigger a look-back period right now? Might not be that big of a deal. Maybe you can make it 3 to 5 years, no problem. Okay, still a roll of the dice. So think about that. One last thing about the life estate deed. If Owen doesn't keep up with the property, maybe doesn't reasonably maintain the property, okay, Anna can sue him. It's called laying waste. So that gives Anna the ability to sue him, which is not a good position to be in either with family. Anna is saying, hey, look, you have the obligation as the life tenant, that's what Owen's called, to make sure that you keep up with the property, and I am going to hold you to that obligation. Okay, so that could be a tough situation. Before, I've seen that between families, not a good situation. Okay, so what else could be done? How do we have our cake and eat it too in this situation? Okay, well, we want our home to avoid probate. That's a big deal. Okay, that's the main goal here. We want our home to avoid probate. Why? Because we don't want to have to go through that long, drug out, expensive, arduous process. Also, we don't want creditors going after our property in the probate process, because that's their opportunity to go after the property, okay? So, what do I mean by creditors? I mean the nursing home, I mean hospital bills, I mean Medicaid, right? Get Medicaid, they want that money back, all right? But the only way they can get it is if you go through probate. So, let's avoid probate, all right? But we don't want to have to make a gift of our home. I don't want to give my home away. I don't want to give any interest to Anna so that she can control what happens to the property. I want to be able to sell this home. Okay, if I'm Owen, I want to be able to sell the home, get an equity line of credit anytime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, hey, if I'm not keeping up with the property, that's my obligation. You
Absolutely.
can't do nothing about it. And lastly, okay, I don't want to trigger a look back period. So, what's my alternative? The Ladybird Deed. Okay, let's shorten that to LBD. Okay, Ladybird Deed. So Ladybird Deed allows Owen to give an interest in property, but only at his death. Okay, so this interest is not a present interest, it's a future interest. It's an interest that passes in the future. And that future instance where that interest passes is when he dies. Okay? So when Owen dies, okay, that's when that passes to Anna. But not until then.
So is there anything we need to do for it to pass?
No. So once he signs the deed,
Okay.
all Owen has to do to pass the property is die. So
Okay.
yeah.
Easy enough.
It's pretty easy. It's probably the easiest thing that
Yeah.
could happen, right? So that's all he has to do. Anna doesn't have to do anything to get that property in her name. If Owen's passed away, it's already in her name. She doesn't have to do anything. She didn't even have to call the rest of her deeds or tax mapping, nothing like that. She ain't
Wow.
got to do anything.
Wow.
So that being said, Owen retains all interest in the property. He can do whatever he wants with the property. He can sell it. Okay. He
Okay.
can lease it. He can mortgage it. He can rent it. He can tear it down and build another house. It doesn't matter. It's his. Okay. Until he dies.
Okay.
And
Well, that's
the way
wonderful.
it's done.
Why would you choose anything other than a Ladybird Deed?
Well, maybe you already have a Ladybird Deed on one of your properties and you have additional property.
Okay. Because you can't put it on all the properties?
You can't put it on all the properties. You can only put it on your primary residence.
Okay.
It's so good, it's such a good tool that you can only have one in North Carolina. So that begs the question, what do you do with additional property that you have? And that's where those percentage interest deeds come in, okay? So let's talk about this. Let's say that Owen, all right, has another piece of property. This is not Owen's main residence, okay? This is White Acre. All right, then we got Owen here again. I think I made him shorter this time. It's kind of frowny now.
Age.
That's right. So Owen now, all right, he has the second piece of property and he wants to qualify for Medicaid in the future. That's a big deal because 70% of individuals over 65 need Medicaid at some point in their lives, okay? And he's trying to figure out how to plan for that 70% chance. He doesn't want to have to pay out of pocket. He doesn't have long-term care insurance, that was too expensive. So he says, hey, I've been paying into Medicaid my whole life. Might as well get that back to pay, all right? But I got the second home. I don't know what to do, okay? Here's a quick answer, all right? If you have a second property, Medicaid says that if you have a second property, as long as you own less than 100% of that thing, all right, they're not gonna count it as an asset. So what Owen does is he gives, keyword there, 1% interest to Anna. All right? Now you might think to yourself, well, he just gave the property, ding, 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 look back period.
That was a
You're
gift.
right. You're right, but it's only 1% of the property. Let's say this is a $100,000 property. What's 1% of $100,000?
1,000.
There you go. All right, so penalty is $1,000. You pay $1,000
Okay.
to the facility. It's a lot less than having to give this house away.
Yeah.
Or having to sell it.
Liquidate it and spend it down.
Yep.
That's right. Okay, so that way you limit the penalty to only 1% of the value of the home, which is not much. Okay, not a big deal. And you add a right of survivorship to this. So when Owen passes away, the property goes immediately to Anna. Until then, she only owns 1% of the property. And that, my friends, is how you protect your primary residence and any secondary residences and still qualify for Medicaid.
Wow.
So this
All right.
takes care of everything.
Takes care of everything.
Perfect.
There's other ways to do this too. It's more than one way to skin a cat. This is a really good way. This is one way we do for clients with multiple properties, maybe even one property. But if you have questions about how to do it, okay, about deeds, trust, anything like that, I'll break out my marker, whiteboard, we'll get in here, and I'll give you an hour for free to ask me anything you want. Call 704-259-7040 today for a free consultation.